This is going to be the first ever Press X news that actually has a theme. So much has happened this week revolving around this particular circumstance, so I figured I'd make an episode completely dedicated to it. Welcome to Press X. So the theme of this episode of Press X News is going to be, don't buy unfinished games. So in the first news story we have Microsoft with Conker's Big Reunion. It was an episodic game for Project Spark, the long-forgotten creation tool. Basically this was a game made within Project Spark, and it was episodic and you could buy the first episode. So if you were excited to play episode 2, forget about it. Episode 2 has been completely canceled, and now Project Spark is free for everybody to use. And while that sounds good, this community is probably just going to die out. This is just the beginning of things that can happen when you ship a game and it's not all finished. Don't buy an incomplete game. So moving on, we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, an Activision game. This game released September 29th, and reviewers did not receive a copy until that exact date. And that normally means that the game isn't very good. Isn't very good is an understatement. This game is awful. It's got tons of bugs, and its day one patch is almost twice the size of the game that you get on disc, which technically, if you don't have an internet connection, you're buying the tutorial level and that's about it. Everything else will be updated day one. So don't buy this game if you don't have internet. In fact, just don't buy this game. Basically, it has terrible collision detection, and there's bugs riddled throughout the experience. Activision made a statement about the poor nature of this game, and I expect things to be fixed as you go along, but this is a full $60 title that you'd be paying for. I was personally very excited for this game, and this made me just want to go pick up the older titles and play them again. Especially because you can grab them for just a couple of bucks. It has now surfaced that the reason Activision may have made this game at all is because of the license to the Tony Hawk games. It's been a while since they've made a game. Similar to how Fox would lose the rights to Fantastic Four if they didn't make a movie every once in a while, it looks like the Tony Hawk license would have expired, so it seems like they rushed a game out the door. I feel like they knew that this game wasn't in prime condition, and they would have delayed it, or even not made it, had this restriction not been there. But as it stands, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 is out, and I can't recommend it. Don't buy unfinished games. Next, it is confirmed 100% that the new Rainbow Six is going to be multiplayer only. This has been said and talked about multiple times. I knew this 2 years ago when they announced the game, but they have 100% confirmed it. So that means you're going to be paying $60 for only the multiplayer. And to be honest with you guys, it doesn't seem like there's much content in there. Also, the beta that's live right now has been split kind of down the middle with people enjoying it. Some people really think it's refreshing with the breakable environments and the tactical gameplay, and other people are saying it's a broken mess. I personally don't have too much interest in this game, and for a full title for $60 that's multiplayer only, I really don't have any investment into looking into this any further. Very similar to that of Titanfall and Evolve, this multiplayer only experience doesn't always work very well. If your community doesn't stay there after the game releases, you don't have a game anymore, and that's the problem with something like this. A game like Splatoon at least had an enjoyable single player that kind of acted as a tutorial to let you know what's happening in the multiplayer. Even Destiny had technically a single player, though that game's almost certainly nowhere near as enjoyable unless you're playing online. I will say Battlefront may be one of the first ones to break this trend, because Star Wars has such a following that it may just have tons of fans and people playing it because they're just fans of that universe. Plus, it's coming out before the movie, then the movie's gonna come out and people may go back to it, so I feel like if any of them survive, that's the one that'll do it. Don't buy an incomplete game. The most interesting story out of all of these is gotta be Hitman. So Hitman was originally set to come out in December, and they delayed it until March 11th. While I still don't think this is a great time for that game to come out, they finally put some clarity onto what we're getting. Before, all we knew was that the game was $60 and didn't come with everything, and they would be updating it periodically. But look at what happened to Conker. That game just vanished. So it's kind of a scary proposition giving people money for something ahead of time, very similar to people complaining about the Arkham Knight season pass, where they didn't even tell you what you were getting and they already had it available for purchase. But they've at least drawn guidelines to tell you what's going to be in this Hitman pass, and this is the first one that I could say, This is pretty interesting, and I kind of like what they're doing. So there's going to be 6 campaign missions throughout 3 massive areas. There's also going to be 800 plus targets for you to hunt down, which seems like it could be anybody in the world can be a target, which is a really interesting dynamic. Plus, the Hitman games are known for being super replayable. There's tons of ways you can go and assassinate the target that you have. So for $60, that doesn't sound like a lot of content. But here's what you're getting: a new area that's apparently as big as those original 3 areas with all new missions to complete. And you will continue to get that every month. This is a very interesting way to do this. Also, you can buy just the base game for $35 instead of the $60 price, and then buy the extra stuff as DLC as you go. While I don't think this is the best way to do it per se, I feel like you could make a $30 core game, or even a free core game, something similar to League of Legends and Dota, and just sell cosmetics. This is interesting, and I'm very excited to see how this ends up doing. Don't buy unfinished games. Moving on, Call of Duty does not have a single player in the 360 and PS3 versions. A lot of people play the Call of Duty single player, and it's more than you probably think. Think about how many people buy Call of Duty, and even if 5% of those play the single player, that's a lot of people that you're disappointing. Now, is it worth the cost of working on the single player as opposed to not doing it and getting those regulars that you would have had that only play the multiplayer? Probably. But still be warned, if you haven't upgraded to the PS4 or the Xbox One, you won't be getting a single player in your Call of Duty. However, the game is only $10 cheaper. So is the single player worth $10? Could they sell all of them for $50 and then you buy the single player as DLC for $10? How many people would do that? This raises a lot of questions. I personally feel like it's way too expensive of a price, and it should be $40. But this looks like they're testing the waters for something more, and maybe next year we'll get the multiplayer-only Call of Duty. That one, I suspect, would be able to hold its community. Don't buy unfinished games. And keeping on with the theme, Minecraft Story Mode is releasing. This one is incredibly weird. You can buy it at retail and get episode 1, and then your disc will update and give you episode 2 and 3 as they release. Now, this is Telltale, who has a track record for doing amazing episodic games. It just worries me that they put it out at retail already, and then you just download it. You might as well just get a voucher code in the disc box like they did with Minecraft for the Vita. The point of buying a disc, typically, is that you have everything on the disc. So the moral of the story is, don't buy unfinished games. So what do you guys think about this universe that we're moving into, where you're getting only single player or only multiplayer and getting charged the same amount? Let me know in the comments down below. Would you prefer game prices moved up to something like $70 and you get that full package? Or what if games were split in between single player and multiplayer, where the multiplayer is $40, the single player is $40, and then you could pay $30 to get the other half? There's tons of ways that you could tackle this, and I definitely don't think we've found the sweet spot for it. So let me know how you would price these games in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe for more content, such as my Let's Plays. I tackled Mega Man Legacy Collection in Tuesday's upcoming Let's Play, so be sure to check that out. I'm Kevin McManus, and I'll speak with you soon.